Hello there guys, welcome back. It's Dave from Horizon Fish Keeping, and on today's video we're going to be looking at planted aquariums in particular, just like this one behind me here, the rainbow tank, and also the fertilizers that I use and recommend. Now there's a million brands of fertilizers out there that you can use, and obviously there's billions of plants and species that are around in the world. These in particular that I'm looking at today will be epiphyte plants in particular, and also stem plants, or any plant that's rooted into the substrate. Now, looking over the number of years that I've done fish keeping now and keeping planted aquariums like this one just here, it's such a diverse subject, and obviously there's a lot of plants that go into the cold water situation, which I won't be covering today here on the Horizon Fish Keeping. I'm mainly looking at plants that can go into the tropical fish tank, just like this one behind me, and also the brands of fertilizer you use is entirely up to you. It's more to show I'd say sort of beginner fish keepers on what to do and how to do the planted aquarium. I mean, my substrate here is inert, it's a gravel substrate. You can use stuff like a sand-topped dirted tank, stuff like that, like a Wallstead method, sorry. And you can also use the aquasoils that they do and they've got on the market. Now, I don't use aquasoils really unless I do a smaller tank, like a shrimp tank, just because of the way it alters the pH in the tanks. I like to use sort of a gravel, fine gravel, or a larger gravel like I've got just behind me here. Mine is a mixed substrate, so I use fine gravel with a larger gravel. And with that, obviously it's inert, there's no nutrients in the substrate. Although this is quite a long time set up tank, so there's some nutrients with the fish waste and also food waste. But if you're wanting to grow the plants like I want to grow them, then you will need extra nutrients in the water column. Now today's video I'm going to be showing you what I use and recommend. I do use the API products. You can use any other brand. I'm not sponsored by API in any way, shape or form. They're just the ones that I prefer, and I have used them for a long time, and it gives good results. This tank was moved recently as I moved house, and it has suffered quite badly with the plants, and you can see that some of the plants in the video just now have sort of taken a little bit of a beating, and that's why we're going to be fertilizing now for the next couple of months to see how we get on with it. I will say that the fertilizers and stuff will help the plants grow, but the majority of the fish keeping and planted tanks sort of activity is a very patient game. You've got to be patient with it. You won't see results overnight, but you will see results over a couple of months using the fertilizers that I recommended today. So we'll get into the video, guys. We have bought some new plants to go into the tank today as well. So you'll be seeing what plants I've purchased today. I'm going to show you how I plant them and what I do to keep these plants looking nice. So if you want to stick around, guys, and stick around, get yourself a cup of tea or some food, and we'll get on with the video. So first of all, I'd like to look at the fertilizers that I use. So this is the API Leaf Zone. I'm not sponsored by API. I just think they're great products for especially beginners with the dosing guidelines on the back, and they're not as strong as many of the other sort of fertilizer that you can get on the market, which if you're an experienced aquarist, you might want to go for the stronger products. I just find that API, I've got a nice balance of nutrients in the fertilizers that they supply, and they're very good for growing pretty sort of basic to intermediate plants. So I use this one regular. So API Leaf Zone is one that I would use for the epiphyte plants. Some of the plants do take nutrients out of the water column, and that's what this fertilizer is for. It would sort of be better for the anubias, java ferns, things like that, the epiphyte plants, things that stick to rocks, mosses, etc. will take a lot of nutrients out of the water, and that's where I'd use the API Leaf Zone. Now, when you're using Leaf Zone, obviously you're adding a lot more nutrients to the water column. That can create algae, and to combat that, I use the API CO2 booster. Now, this is not CO2 in regards to CO2 that you would see in the gas form. I would say this is more of an algicide than a CO2 booster. and it is very helpful in reducing the algae in the tank. Now in this particular tank that I'm working on today, I use 4 capfuls of the API leaf zone to 1 capful of the CO2 booster, and that seems to be a good balance for me. It will depend on the light as well. I have my lights running about 80% for around 4 to 6 hours a day. If you do have your lights running for the majority of the evening, or if you're running like a blue light spectrum, I would expect to get some kind of algae with the API leaf zone. One way of combating that is to use a CO2 booster. This will help reduce the algae, being an algicide, and it'll also help if you back your lights down a little bit. If you do start noticing spot algae on the glass, etc., then if you turn your lights down below sort of the 70% mark, then most of the lights won't create as much algae. And also in combination with them, I use the API root tabs. Now these are really good for the root feeding plants, so things like the Ritalas, anything like that, Amazon swords, this is what you need for them. Anything that goes into the gravel or substrate, I'd be using root tabs. Now I have opened this packet, I have put a few in my tank. I've just recently moved house, and obviously the tank got stirred up a little bit, so I'm trying to get my plants back to how they looked before. And you'll see the plants that I've actually purchased today to go in the tank, which we'll have a look at in a moment on the video. I'll be using root tabs for them. So Ecuadorus, they're very good for them. And also any sort of Vallisneria, anything that goes into the substrate, then I would use root tabs. So moving on from that, we'll have a look at some of the plants that I bought today, and also we'll have a look at the tank and discuss some things about that. So here we have it, guys, my rainbow tank. If you are familiar with the channel already, then you will have seen this tank many times on live streams and other videos and projects. I used to have a big fish room, and I used to breed all these fish that are in this tank. So every fish more or less is one that I've bred myself. The angelfish here, most of the rainbows, and there's a couple of corridors and things in the bottom, and the German blue rams, I've bred them all myself. So I am very familiar with these fish. Now you can see the plants that I've got in here. There's a very big mix in this tank of different plants. So I've got the Amazon sword plants here, which would use the root tabs. That would be really good for getting them going, and they will absolutely munch through them root tabs like you will not believe. That's probably the biggest hungry plant in the tank at the moment. We've got the Java ferns just here, which are looking very sad. So they'll be needing the leaf zone. They're an epiphyte plant, obviously. And we've got some Anubias just here, which is also epiphyte, which will need the leaf zone. We've got some Crips just down the bottom here. Now these will really do well with the root tabs, and that's the reason I use a combination of the root tabs, the liquid fertilizer, and the CO2 booster or algicide, whichever you want to call it, because of the mixture of plants that I've got there. I need all 3 of them in combination. Now we have bought some more plants today, which I'll show you in a moment, and we're going to get them in the tank, and I'll show you how I'll go about planting these. This works really well, especially if you've got an inert substrate like this one here. So mine's just a gravel substrate. It's not ideal for planting into this, I must admit, but it does work really well with the root tabs. You can see I've got some cucumber in there for the plecos because they really like that. But yeah, we're going to get some plants in today, and we'll see how we get going on. You can see, guys, we've got a real big full bag of plants here. I've just been down to the local fish store and picked these up just now, so I'm going to get them out of the bag and then we'll take a look at these guys. There's some really nice ones in here. You can buy them usually like this from local fish shops, or you can buy them in like the Tropica packs or little tissue cultures, and they all work the same way. They're all plants, they all need food, they all need water. So we'll get inside the bag, guys, and I'll show you what we're working with. Here we have it, guys. These are the plants that I got today. I got 6, I think they were like 6 for £20 or something like that. So we've got some of these really nice Ritalas. This is Ritala species orange juice. And I just got 2 of these. These are stem plants, and they'll grow really tall. I think there's a card there. You want to check that out? So from Aquadip. So yeah, Ritala species orange juice. It's a really nice one to have this. They grow quite tall, and then you can take the trimmings off the top and then replant them next to it, and it'll grow a new plant. So that's quite handy. We've got some normal Vallisneria here. This is not jungle val. You can get this in jungle val, and it will literally overtake your tank. This particular one is Vallisneria twist. So these stems will grow quite long in the tank. So they work really well in tall tanks, and they'll twist around like this as they grow. So you'll end up with like a twisted pattern. We've got 2 of these today. Really nice healthy plants in these little pots. and I'll show you how to take them out of the pots to plant. And then also we've got some of these nice cryptocornis just here, got 2 of them, and we'll be putting these in as well today. I think there's 2 different varieties, I'm not sure which ones they are, so if you guys are in the know, some of you guys that have been keeping planted aquariums for some time, if you can let me know in the comments, that would be absolutely awesome. We do have this one already, and this one's a new one, so we'll get these in the tank. So if you are new to plants and you want to know how to plant these plants, what you basically do is just hold them at the base like this, and you'll have to give them a wiggle. Sometimes they're a little bit stiff, but you don't want to break the plant up. And then they usually come with this little weight at the bottom, so you just discard that, and then you get this like sort of foam stuff, rock wool I think it's called. That'll be around the roots of the plant. Now one side's fallen off, it usually comes like that together to hold it in the pot. But basically what you want to do is peel this off and then get the rest of it off before you plant them in the tank, and then you'll be left with the root stems at the bottom just like that, and that's what you use to plug it into the substrate. And that's the way I do it anyway. I usually keep them together, I don't sort of break them apart. You can break these apart because there's more than one plant you can see there, but I usually just keep them in a bunch and I'll put them in together just like that, and usually just pop a root tab just underneath, which I'll show you in a moment. Now because I'm vertically challenged, this tank's quite high as you can see. I have to stand on a stool to get to the top, obviously because if I reach down through the glass it's very difficult to get to the bottom. Now what I usually do is with the lid just here, I'll usually take the lid all the way off, but just for demonstration purposes today I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to show you how I usually get the plants in the tank. Now you can use tweezers for this, but I prefer to use my fingers. It's just a little bit easier, more dexterity just to get the plants into the water. What I'll do is I'll zoom into the front just here so you can see exactly what I'm doing, and I'm probably going to not put this plant at the front because it grows so tall and it'll block out all the light and stuff. I usually put the Vallisnerias and stuff like that at the back, which you can see I've already got some there, and we'll be putting these at the back as well, but I'll just for demonstration purposes I'll zoom in at the front here and I'll show you how we're going to plant this one today. So first of all, there's a nice little space just here, but there's no nutrients there at the moment, so what I'll usually do is I'll get my API root tabs just like this. Now I will be putting a plant there, so it's not a wasted root tab, and they're in a blister pack just like that, and just pop a little tablet out. And with these ones I usually break them in half just because that's a lot of nutrients just for one plant. You can break them in half fairly easy, just like a tablet or whatever, and you can break them into quarters. Now just because I know what plant's going to go at the front there, it's going to be one of the cryptocornis, I'm just going to put a quarter of the root tab just into the gravel. So I'll just move the camera around a little so you can see what I'm doing here. And I have removed the hoodie because my arms will get wet through. Basically what I'd do is I'd usually get my root tabs and I'll push that straight into the gravel, so you can see the root tab just here. You want to push that right down to the glass on the bottom, and then we'll go for the Vallisneria here, and I'll just pop this just above it. The roots will find the root tab eventually. It will take some time, but you'll know when the plants reach the root tab because they'll just absolutely boom and they'll get a real nice vibrant green. Now that's not the plant that's going to be going there. I'm just doing it for demonstration purposes only. Now I know this one's going to go to the back, so while I'm here I'm just going to get another root tab. I'll just reach down the back here. It is such a tall tank, it's difficult to get your arm in there. So you want to push the root tab right down to the glass, and I'll get the Vallisneria. I'm just going to pop it back in place where it's going to be, just here at the back. And now that's in. Push some gravel around it so the plecos don't knock it out, because that will happen. The plecos will get hold of it, and then you'll be catching your plants from the top of the water. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some more root tabs in and plant all the plants, and I'll show you when I'm done. Now as you can see, we've got all the plants in. We've got the cryptocornis just here, the orange juice Ritalas just here at the back, and we've got the Vallisneria just there at the back of there, and obviously some more crypts and things at the front. So yeah, it looks a little bit misty at the minute, and it's got to grow in. This is where the patience starts now, guys. You need to let the plants root up. They've all got root tabs underneath, so they've got nutrients straight away from the get-go. And I'm also going to dose the API leaf zone and the CO2 booster today as well, and that'll just give them all the best chance to make the roots and become strong plants. It's all a patience thing now. Once you get your tank set up like this and you've got all your plants in, you've got to wait for them to root. So you might not see any growth for the first couple of weeks, but after a couple of weeks and the roots have established, they'll start growing really strong and nice. So I'm going to leave it for this one, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.